Well, howdy everyone, and welcome back to the Hampton Roads Gardener. I'm your host, Galen Callahan, Horticulture Extension Agent in the city of Hampton for Virginia Cooperative Extension. And today, we're growing potatoes in containers. Here I have some Yukon Gold potatoes that I picked up at my local big box store. Yukon Gold is a yellow potato variety that I grow every year, along with some red Norland potatoes. You can grow any kind of potato you like based on your taste and cooking habits. You have potatoes that are starchy, while some have a medium sugar content and have a hint of sweetness. Some potato varieties, like fingerlings, have an earthy, nutty flavor to them. There are potatoes that are better for baking versus boiling versus making French fries. And then, of course, there are many varieties and colors on the market, including red, white, yellow, and I've even seen purple and blue potatoes out there. I use certified seed potatoes to ensure that these potatoes that I'm growing are disease-free. And it's hard to see on the video, but the box that these potatoes were in notifies the purchasers that the potato is certified. Potatoes are susceptible to many soil-borne diseases, and I want to make sure that I give my potatoes the best chance at growing successfully. Now here I am looking for the eyes on each potato. The eyes are what sprout and make new potato tubers underground as the plant develops. The eyes are really easy to spot once they're sprouting, but not so much when they're dormant. So I make it easier to identify the eyes by keeping the seed potatoes in the dark for a few days after purchase if they aren't sprouting already. But keeping them in the dark will force them to sprout a little in a process called green sprouting. Now you can plant the whole potato if you'd like, but when the potatoes are this small, I like to cut my seed potatoes in half, making sure that there are 1 to 2 eyes on each half, just so that I can have more plants. I'm an urban gardener, and so I like to grow intensively in close spaces. And so I'll put these halves in the containers here soon. You want to let these potatoes cure for a couple days and let them dry out to reduce the chances of rotting. So I left these potatoes on my deck for a couple of days, and through the magic of time, I'm ready to start planting my seed potatoes. I'm growing in containers because 1, I don't have the space in my garden right now, and 2, it's easier to find all the tubers when it's time to harvest. I've had plenty of volunteer potatoes come up the following year because I didn't harvest all of the tubers the prior year when growing in ground. So this works out better for me. But growing in containers is similar to growing in ground. I'm just using some raised bed soil in these containers, but you can also use potting soil. I'm pushing the seeds down here about a 1/4 inch into the soilless mix and then covering them with about another 1/4 inch. When that's finished, set your covered seed potatoes in full sun and wait for the stalks to start poking up through the soil about 6 to 8 inches. Once that occurs, you want to hill or cover your stalks with even more soil to help decrease weed pressure. And this also protects your growing tubers from sunlight, which causes potatoes to turn green, and green potatoes are poisonous. Here I am 2 weeks later and hilling the potatoes when the stalks are about 6 to 8 inches in height. I'll be back in another couple weeks to hill these potatoes, either 3/4 of the way or fill the container completely. All of that is dependent on the amount of growth on the potatoes. After that's done, I'm going to keep these potatoes watered, set them back in full sun, and wait for the stalks to start yellowing and dying back, which gives me an indication that the tubers are ready to harvest. For Yukon Gold potatoes, this will take about 65 to 80 days. I want the larger tubers, so I'm going to wait the maximum amount of time period that the plant will give me before I harvest. But if you want those smaller, new potatoes, you know, the ones that you use when roasting, you can harvest on the lower end of the growth period. Now, I prefer to use my potatoes fresh, but you can also cure them so that they store for a longer period of time. And I'll add a link in the description box on curing potatoes if you'd like to do that. But that's it on growing container potatoes. I'm going to continue watching these potatoes grow. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a little something new about growing potatoes. And I will catch you on the next video. Happy gardening!